Hello there, welcome back to Crafters TV. I hope you're having a brilliant weekend. Now I've got a craft along for you in the next couple of hours, and it's a craft along we've all been looking forward to for a really long time, because we are talking about the Nature's Garden Sunflower Collection. This was incredibly popular when we launched it. You guys absolutely loved it. The bundle is available for you in the show, and I'll take you through that in a few moments, but let's find out what we're crafting and who we're crafting with. She's back, the headmistress. I called you the queen of the craft along yesterday.
Did you?
Ruffled some feathers. But she's here. Jan is in the building.
Setting my team, my colleagues. It's like we're all in the same job, aren't we? So yes, great to be back. Love this collection. It was when it was launched, it just flew, didn't it? And we were I got very excited when I realised that I was doing the craft along for it. If you were with me back last month, so yeah, we've put together a little project for us to do today, and it looks, as always, much more complicated than it actually is. Once we actually look at this and see how it's put together, honestly, it's not as difficult as it looks. So don't be put off by it. We're going to use some of the dies to create those gorgeous little sunflowers. Going to use the paper pad there. I've actually embossed my tissue paper inside, but that's optional. And yeah, just generally have a nice little play with some of the components from the collection. So we're going to go through everything that you need if you haven't got it together already. And then we'll just give you a couple of minutes to gather those bits and pieces if you're not actually ready with us just yet. So the actual product side of the list then. We've got it all listed there for you. That has been up on social media for you to access, but just to go through that again, from the actual sunflower collection from Nature's Garden, I'm going to use just one sheet of the 12 by 12 paper pad. If you don't have that and you've got the A6 paper pad, you might need a couple of pieces. And then we've got card from the Luxury Linen card pack to make the flowers with, the Striking Sunflower die, which is the little sunflower die to cut out the flowers with, Sun-Kissed Wishes for our sentiment on the front, and then I put the embossing folder in just because I embossed my tissue paper that was inside, so that's an optional bit if you need it. All right, and then nesting circles, I use those on the front of mine just to create the sentiment. So a circle and a scallop circle, if you've got them. 2 circles will work, if not a circle, another shape will work just as well. Ink pads, I'm going to use Quick Dry in Seal Brown to stamp with, and then the pigment inks in Friar Brown and Green Topaz are just for inking edges. So if you're not bothered about that bit, don't worry about the opaque ink pads there. And then additional elements from there. We're going to need a blending tool to do the edges of the paper with, if you're going to follow that line. And then I always put a good variety of glue on there. We've got low tack tape, foam pads, all-purpose glue, tacky glue, the red liner tape, and then you're going to need 2 A4 pieces of craft card, or at least 1 and a scrap piece. I'll explain that in a bit more detail as we go along. Textured cardstock. The peach card is from that linen cardstock pad from the actual collection is the word I'm looking for, okay? And then I put pieces of scrap card in yellow, green, brown, cream. Now the yellow, green and brown are for making the sunflowers with, so they do only need to be scraps to cut those little flowers out. The cream piece is to stamp our sentiment on, so again, they only need to be sort of scrap size pieces, they don't need to be anything too big. And then equipment wise, I put the Gemini MIDI on because that's what I was using at home. Now I've actually got my big Gemini out here, but anything from the MIDI upwards would work with what we're doing today. The big guillotine, the A4 guillotine to cut that piece of 12 by 12 paper, scoreboard scoring tool, bone folder, scissors, pokey tool, pencil and ruler, stamping platform or some kind of stamping implement to stamp your sentiment with. I use the hot glue gun to attach all these pieces on, but if you don't have a glue gun, we can do that with either foam pads or wet glue, don't worry about that. And then I put the flower shaping tool and mat as well, just to shape those little flowers, but again, if you don't have those, you can shape them with your fingers. And then I've got the tape pen and the dotty tape pen on the bottom there, just as extras if we need them. So give you a few minutes to gather everything together if you haven't done that already, and then we'll come back ready to start in a few minutes time.
Brilliant. If you don't own the Sunflower Collection, you look at this thing, I'd really love to give it a go, then you can, because we've got it all available for you today. Is the full collection here, all the stamps and dies, the vellums, the flower forming foam, the luxury cardstock, both the paper pads. It is all within there as a complete collection for you. We've managed to replicate that launch offer as well, which is excellent. So £94.99 or £122.55 is a really healthy saving of over £30 or $40. Now, not just Jan crafting, I'm going to be crafting along as well. I mean, I think it might be a little bit beyond my skill set, Jan, but we will see how we go. I thought I had everything gathered until I read Jan's list, and now poor Jake's running around backstage trying to find a few last bits. But not just the two of us crafting here in the studio, we've also got two guests, so let's go over. Firstly, to Texas, and Betsy is in Texas. How are you, Betsy?
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Really, really good, thank you. Yourself?
I'm doing great. It's a little hot here in Texas, but that's okay. I'm inside.
I can imagine. It's been very hot here this week. It took a lot of effort not to say Betsy in Tesco, because I always seem to say Tesco instead of Texas, Tesco being a supermarket. So if I do say you're in Tesco, you'll have to forgive me as we go through the show. Have you got all of your bits and bobs gathered?
I am ready to go.
Excellent. Well, I'll be dropping in on you periodically through the show. Not one special guest, but two, because Lisa today in Norfolk is also with us as well. Oh, how's it going, Lisa? Lovely to have you back on the show.
Hello, nice to see you again.
Little Birdie tells me that the ice cream man might have just been round where you are. I'm very jealous if that's the case.
Yes, it was. And I didn't get to have one because I'm on here.
What did you get? You didn't get one?
No, because I would have had to eat it on here.
We would have we'd have held up the craft along for you to get you Mr. Whippy, honestly, we really would have. Have you got all your bits and bobs gathered?
Yes, I think so. I'm just about there.
Brilliant. Well, I'm really excited to see what you come up with, Lisa, and we'll be dropping in on you again very, very shortly.
Thank you.
Right, lots of you chatting away in the comments. So many of you. I'm going to come back to the comments a little bit later in the show. Actually, let's say hello. See who's tuning in. We've got Jutta in Germany. Hello. To Jutta. Teresa's in Long Island. Sarah's back from Australia. Victoria is in Wisconsin. Wisconsin's not one we often get people in from, so it's lovely to have Victoria in Wisconsin. Lorraine's in Florida. Melanie's in Florida as well. Miriam's in South Carolina. Adriana's in Texas. Kathleen's in California. Who else got us? Loads of you. Tammy's in Dakota. Rebecca in South Carolina. Gilmore's in as well. Rhonda in Chicago. Nee's in New Jersey. Jill's in North Yorkshire. And Deborah is joining us as well. In a breezy Lancashire, she goes on to tell me. Right, Jan, I spent a long time since I've done a craft along. We will see how it goes, but I'm limbered up and ready to go. I've done
Honestly,
my pre-show yoga just so I'm nice and supple and ready.
It's not as bad as you think. It never is. You know, I always do these so that I can break them down into sections for you guys. I'm just fiddly. I was just trying to reach my scissors then and realised I was stretching over. So I've got all my bits and pieces together. I've actually got a couple of pieces of craft card. We're going to cut one of these down. The basket itself is made from just one piece of the cardstock, and then you'll need a separate piece to cut into for the handle. Now, if you're using 12 by 12 cardstock, when we've cut this down to make the basket, the piece that you've cut off will probably be big enough to make the handle. So depending on what you're starting off with, I've just got a couple of pieces of those at the ready. I've also got some of the darker of the two yellows. There's a lemony yellow and then this lovely rich yellow. This is out of the A4 paper collection, card collection that comes with the sunflower collection. So I've got a couple of bits of that are just left over from previous projects. I'm going to use those to make some of the flowers, and also to this one I did in peach at the bottom here because the paper was more peachy tone, but I think I'm going to go with the yellow today. And then I've chosen just a piece of paper out of my pad, but I'm actually going to use the reverse side of it. I'm not so worried about the larger elements for the basket, otherwise it's going to overpower it. So I'm actually going to use this side of this one today. So that's my 12 by 12 piece. I can pop that down to one side, and then I've got some little scraps at the ready just to make. We're going to use that yellow card in conjunction with the green and the brown to make the sunflowers. I've got a bit that's big enough to make my sentiment with, so I'm just going to pop all those to one side for now. And then I asked you to get some trim if you have it as well. I've just got some bead trim and some ribbon. So these are just finishing off bits, Joe, so don't worry if you've not got those elements over there. So it's just the decoration side of it. And then I also popped on there some tissue paper if you wish, but again, it's optional. I just popped some tissue in the top of mine, you know, just to make it look more like a little gift basket. But if you don't have that, don't worry. So to start off with, we want one of our pieces of craft card, and I'm just going to use my guillotine to cut that down to the size that we need it. So using that large guillotine, I want you to cut this down to 11 inches in length. So we're not taking much off the edge of it because this measures just over 11 3/4 here in the UK. So I'm literally just taking a sliver off that edge to bring it level with 11 inches on my guillotine here. So just lining it up, and I'm just going to take that edge piece off, and that's the only cut that I'm going to make today. So you'll be pleased to know that there's not as much. Pardon?
All the cutting done?
That's the cutting with the guillotine done.
Oh.
Normally I have lots of mats and layers and things.
Well, I'll pop it away in that case.
We'll need it in a little while because we need it for the paper, but just to work on this piece now, we're going to start off with the actual piece for the basket. Now what I've done for you guys is I've drawn out a template. So you can see now my piece of craft card is the same size as the template. So this is going to be a great one for you to screenshot if you want to come back to this. So our George is just zooming in there so that we can get it nice and close for you. And I've put all the measurements on here, so if you want to screenshot that one to save, you can see we've got 11 by 8 1/4 is the starting size, and then I've put all the black lines are cut lines and the blue lines are score lines. So we're going to do a bit of measuring first, and then we're going to cut into some of it and we're going to score some of it. It's nice and straightforward. Okay, so I'm going to leave that where I can see it and work from that, and we're going to go back to our piece of cardstock. Now I've got my ruler and pencil, and I'm working in inches today, so I do apologise to any of you that work in centimetres. I nearly always work in inches. So what we're going to do, now there's two ways of doing this. You can actually do all of this on a scoreboard. So all the drawing that we're going to do on here, you can do on a scoreboard. But I find when you cut into some of the lines, you get those sort of score pieces on it, and I'm not quite keen on it for this particular project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip my cardstock over and work on the back. And we're going to do a series of measurements on here. So we're going along that 11-inch length. So I'm just going to line my ruler up there on that 11-inch length, and we're just going to make some little marks to draw this grid basically onto the back of our cardstock. So first mark is at 1 1/4 inches. So I'm just going to put a little line at the top of mine at 1 1/4. And then we're going to come along another 1 1/4, which will take us to 2 1/2. And I'll repeat all these for you when we've done this. And then I'm going to come again at 3 3/4. I'm just making a little mark. We're going to do the same along the bottom edge and then join everything up. Then I want to pop a little mark at 5 1/2. Then I'm going to come along to 7 1/4, 8 1/2, and 9 3/4. Okay, so I'll repeat those again for you now from this end. So the first one was at 1 1/4 inch. Second one was at 2 1/2 inches. Third one was at 3 3/4. So we've now got 3 equal panels here at the end that measure 1 1/4 inches each. And then I jumped to 5 1/2. I'll come back to that one in a second, what that one's for. And then I went along, and we've basically done the same at this end as what we did at this end. So 7 1/4.
7 1/4, yep.
8 1/2.
8 1/2.
And 9 3/4.
And 9 3/4.
So that's given me another 3 columns here that measure 1 1/4 inches. So we need to repeat those now along that bottom edge. So I'm just going to bring my ruler all the way down to the bottom, line it up and repeat those measurements, okay? So I'm going to do 1 1/4, 2 1/2, 3 3/4, 5 1/2. I'll repeat them again, don't worry. 7 1/4, 8 1/2, 9 3/4. Okay, so 1 1/4 first. We're adding on another 1 1/4 to make 2 1/2. Then we're adding another 1 1/4 to make 3 3/4. So we've got those 3. We've created these 3 vertical panels here. Then jump into this side. We've got the 5 1/2 bit in the middle. I'll come back to that in a second. And then we've got 7 1/4, 8 1/2, and 9 3/4 are going to make these 3 that come this way. Okay? So what I want you to do now then with your ruler is just join those up from top to bottom. So I'm going to come along here from that right hand side, put my pencil on the line that I've drawn, and basically just draw yourself that grid on the back of it. Now, like I said, this can actually be done with your scoreboard. Now, miss out the central one. So I'm not going to join up the one that we made at 5 1/2. I just want 3 at this side, and then I'm going to do the other 3 at the other side. Okay? So just joining them. So you should end up with 3 vertical columns at this side, the bigger gap in the middle, and 3 vertical columns at this side. Okay? And then I'm going to bring the scoreboard in and do a couple of score lines as well. Now, I have done this project in the past where all these lines have just been scored in on the scoreboard. As I say, we're going to cut into some of the lines, and I don't like the way, when we're making boxes, we tend to cut the score lines away, but it's not as simple with this one, and I'll show you what I mean when we come to cut it. So on your scoreboard, I want you to rotate it so that you've got the long edge down the left-hand side of your scoreboard.
Oh dear.
So we're going to create these 2 vertical lines that come through the centre now, and these are just a score line. The blue lines, remember, I said were just score lines. So at 2 3/4 inches, so 2 3/4, I want you to score all the way from top to bottom. And then I want you to do the same at 5 1/2 inches. Okay, and then I'm going to flip it over and just pop those score lines in on both sides. So 2 3/4 and 5 1/2, just so that we've got them breaking those fibres up both ways. Okay. And then we're going to go back to that landscape orientation. So I'll repeat any of this for any of you that have got lost along the way. So just let Joe know in the comments, and if you're getting sort of lost along the way, we can repeat any of it. So I've currently got pencil lines at 1 1/4 inch intervals, 3 at the left hand side and 3 at the right hand side. I've got a larger gap in the middle, and I've got that 5 1/2 inch marked, which we'll come back to. Then we've got our 2 score lines. Now I need to add some more score lines in, but we're only going to score between the 2 lines that we've made. So I'm only going to score between here and here in this central. So if you look at it horizontally, you've got 1 column across the top here, you've got a central one, and then you've got a bottom one. We're only going to work in this central one. And what you can do is line up your scoring tool at the 1 1/4 inches, drag it down, and then we're just going to score in between those 2 sort of tram lines that we've created with the original score line. So I've started here on the top score line, and I've come all the way down to the second score line. Yeah, and I'm going to do that. You can feel the groove underneath your scoreboard where you've put the pencil marks in. Just in that central bit, I want you to do the 3 on the left hand side. So all I've done is between this horizontal and this horizontal, I've scored 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to flip it all the way round, and we're going to do the same at this side. So again, just feel where the groove is underneath your pencil line.
I guess it's quite handy as well, because if your lines are off slightly, it doesn't really matter now, does it? Because they're going to be exact now because you're scoring them in.
We've got it all tidied up, yeah. So my score lines are
guess whose pencil marks were slightly out?
But yeah, my score lines have gone straight over the top of my pencil line. So again, I'm not too worried there. And I'm going to flip it over now, and I'm going to do it on the other side as well. So just where you've got those, it's just breaking up that fibre, and the craft card is very, very fibrous. So I'm just going to flip it over, and where we did those in that central panel, just give them a push on the other side as well, and it'll make it all easier to fold it all in the end. Okay? So you can just see there, that looks great on there, where I've got that central panel with the 2 horizontal lines, and then these 3 scored in at each side. Okay? That's all the scoring that we need to do for now. So I'm just going to get everybody to catch up with that.
Yes, so that's a great chance.
Okay. If you need any measurements repeating, let Joe know and we can come back to it, just to make sure that everybody's at the same level. And then we're going to go on to do a bit more, and then the cutting side of it.
Certainly, any questions you've got, get them in. Crafters TV on Facebook, Crafters Companion on YouTube. I think mine looks all right, Jan. I'm quite happy with that so far. So now saying good morning from Tampa. Who else we've got? Debbie's in Kentucky, the state, not the takeaway. Annie is in Virginia as well. We've got a new crafter as well, Bethan. My first attempt at a craft along. Well, welcome, Bethan.
Welcome to the little family. You will be fine.
You will be fine. Jennifer is in Michigan. The lovely Christine Coppenrath says, morning everyone. It's warm Rotterdam afternoon. Can't wait to see what Jan makes. Hi, Christine. Kathy is waving from Nebraska as well. Who else we've got in here? The lovely Lynn is here. Sue Ellen in Ohio. Rosalind's in Maryland. Alicia is in Arkansas. Karen Holloway as well. So you people make a new crafter from Arkansas. Very happy. Hey, Karen. Cara is in Virginia. There's loads of you today. Rhonda in Round Rock. Sylvia's in London as well. Adriana says, nice to see Texas on the show. Alicia saying you'll do great as always. And hi, Lillian says, hi everyone. I missed the start, so not sure what's being made, but just heard Joe concentrating really hard. Right, let's go and drop in on Betsy. Did you manage to follow all of that, Betsy?
I did. I am good to go. Got everything measured and scored.
Brilliant. I sense, Betsy, I'm hoping at least it's all downhill from here. We shall see. I'll pop in and see you again very soon. Let's see how Lisa's getting on. All smiles, apparently, so let's just make sure. Yeah. Is it all looking all right?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Ah, excellent.
Fantastic. All will come clear when we start cutting into it.
We'll drop back in on Lisa very, very soon. Thank you very much. Right then. Right. I think we can press on, don't you?
Yeah, we've got a couple more lines to put in, and then we're going to use our scissors to start cutting into this. Okay. So all I want to do now is these 2 diagonal lines to make the triangles in each side. So if you remember, we popped a little mark at 5.5 inches, which is actually the halfway of the whole sheet. So what I want you to do from that mark at the halfway point, we're going to come down to where these 2 lines meet. So I've got my horizontal score line and my vertical line, the nearest one to the middle. So this was the 7.25 inch line. So I'm going to put my pencil where those 2 lines bisect, and I'm literally going to join it up to that 5.5 inch mark. And then sort of rotate, and this was the 3 3/4 line, where it meets the score line, and join it up again. So you're going to get that triangle within that sort of larger space that we left in the middle, down to that first score line here. And then you can actually pop in the 2 outside triangles. We're going to cut these bits away. Okay. And then I'm going to rotate all the way around and do the same at this side. So again, I tend to find where the 2 lines cross with my pencil, line it up with that midway point and draw in my line. Same at this side, find that point where it crosses, pop it in there, join it up with the top at 5.5, and again, just a little reminder that these 2 pieces are going to be cut away. And then that looks pretty much the same. Give or take all the measurements that I've got on here. You can see that's now looking pretty much the same as the template there. All right, so measuring, scoring, drawing, finished for a little while. We're going to need a decent pair of scissors now, all right? So whatever your favourite pair of scissors is, the furthest you're going to cut is one of these lines up to the score line. So they don't need to be massive. If you're happier with your little snips, if you have more control over those, that's fine. I'm actually going to use my big pair for this, and I'm literally going to work from one side to the other. So I'm right-handed. I tend to start at this side. If you're left-handed, there's nothing to stop you starting and working this way. But where we've got the pencil line, this was our very last one that we made, up to the score line. I'm going to stop. You don't want to go any further, so I'm going to cut right along the pencil line, and I'm going to stop when I get to the score line here. So that first horizontal score line, I've just released to that bit there. And this is why I prefer to draw it in rather than use the scoreboard, because if I had a score line here, cutting up the centre of the score line, you still get a little bit of it left on each side of your piece of card. And that's why I prefer to do the drawing side of it here. This is all inside your box, so none of it's going to be seen when we've finished. And then we're going to come along to the next one, and we're going to do it exactly the same, remembering to stop when we get to that horizontal score line. So I've now got 2 pieces free, and then the third one, straight up that score line, that pencil line up to the score line, and I've now got 3 separate pieces that measure that 1 1/4 inch width. Then I'm going to come to the diagonal line and cut down my diagonal line. So I'm cutting that triangle that we penciled out of the equation. We don't need that piece, scrap. Yeah? So that's where I've got 2 so far. I've got these 3 free. 1, 2, 3, and I've taken the triangle out. And then I'm going to come, you can carry on working this way if you wish. Just to repeat the process, I'm going to come back to this edge, and I'm going to do the same here. Straight up that pencil line, nice and straight. Keep it as straight as you can, up to the score line, on all 3 pieces to create those 3 tabs again. Remembering to stop when you get to that score line. And then that last one, straight up that one. And then we're going to take that other piece of the triangle away. So again, I'm going to come to that diagonal line from the top, down that edge, and literally take that one away. We don't need that one either, that one's scrap. So that's what you should end up with when you've done that side. So we've got these 3 freed. I've got 3 freed at this side, and I've got my triangular piece.
Linda would like the score lines repeated, as would Miriam.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So the long ones that we did to start off with, we rotated it onto this short side, and we scored at 2 3/4 inches for the first one, and 5 1/2 inches. So what we've done is create 3 equal columns across our card. These all measure the same, all 3 columns. So 2 3/4 inches, 5 1/2 inches, and then we actually reinforce those pencil lines by scoring just the middle section with our score tool along those 3 columns and along these 3 at this side. So there were no score lines in the top section and no score lines in the bottom, just along the middle there. And then what we've done is we've cut up so far 1, 2, 3 and cut away the triangle. We don't need this piece. And then we've cut up 1, 2, 3 and cut away this piece, and these 2 bits are scrap. And then all I'm going to do then is literally turn it all the way around, and we're going to repeat exactly the same on this side. So this one just goes up to that score line on here. So again, straight up those pencil lines and stop when you hit the score line. So 1, 2. Don't worry if they're not perfect.
Jan, I've managed to cut them all out, Jan. It was a lot of stress. I've cut them all, but it was a very stressful situation.
As I say, don't worry if they're not perfectly straight, because a lot of these are going to be hidden anyway. So yeah, take away that triangular piece. We don't need that one.
I find, Jan, that once I'm in the, I have to slow and steady, just keep it going. Otherwise, if I stop and start again, then I'm done.
No, you could see where it was going. You've seen the template. So yeah, we're all on the same page. You know, some people can cut faster than others. There's no rush. We've got plenty of time there. Down that last third one. Down the diagonal. And then we've got our piece ready. So that's probably the hardest part done with. So you should end up with those 4 triangles are waste, I don't need those. And you should end up with a piece like this that's got all the little tabs free. So 3 on each side, 3 at the top, 3 on this side, and the 2 triangles. 2 score lines still going across the middle. Okay, so I don't, yeah, we will fold it and then you'll see where I'm heading with this, all right? So I'm going to turn it back over onto its correct side now. And I'm going to fold in along that horizontal score line all of the tabs and the triangle on one side and just run my bone folder down those creases just to make sure that that's nice and secure. And then again, can bring those out of the way, flip it round, and we're going to do the same on the other edge. So all 3 of the tabs at either side, along with the triangle in the middle, and then just run your bone folder and secure that fold so that the cardstock knows where you're going. So you can see there, we've got all these folded up now. Okay. And then we're just going to come across these vertical ones as well. So again, wherever you've got a score line, just bend and fold. So across all 3 of the columns, then you should have that rectangular piece in the centre, and then we're going to do these 3 at this side. And they should fold nice and easy because we put that double score into it. So again, just burnish them in with your bone folder so that that cardstock learns what it wants you to do. And again, on that other side there. So you should have all the pieces folded now, all ready to go. And then how this goes together, this is actually the base here. And then you've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then these are all going to fold together to make the 2 sides.
It's very clever, isn't it?
It's really clever. It's not my own design, all right, so I'm not going to take credit for it. I did find this on a video. But basically, if you turn it the right way up and just sort of push the 3 tabs together on either side. And this is just to give you an idea as to how it's going to go together. And then these little triangular pieces are going to come up. Now there's a bit of sticking to get everything to go in the right place, but essentially you can see how this is going to start to form and create that shape on the edge. So don't worry too much. We're going to do a little bit more work on that as to how it all sticks together. So again, I'm just going to give everybody a chance to get to that point. The next step then is to start cutting up some of the paper to decorate these pieces with.
I'm dead chuffed with that, Jan. Look.
Yeah? Told you it wasn't as hard as it looked.
Good.
Yeah, there you go, look. It almost looks like a little baby carriage until you get it decorated.
It's I mean, it's quite simple, isn't it? You look at it, it looks really elaborate. Right, I know what a lot of you be thinking now, gosh, I really want to get this collection now because I really want to make that box. Well, I'm going to run you through the collection that we have available for you. So it's a really comprehensive bundle. Let me start off with the paper pads that you're going to get. So you'll get the 12 by 12. You'll also get it resized in the 6 by 6 too. But you can see in here you've got 36 pages, 180 GSM. Really, really beautiful designs. It's very sort of watercolour painterly in its style. It's a very, very pretty collection, and the pad is exactly that. You'll get it in the 6 by 6. You will then get it in the linen, as well as the flower forming foam. You will also get the vellums as well included too. They are in there as well. 8 by 8 vellums are coming included. Then you've got all of your hardware. So your stamps, you've got these beautiful layering stamps, which are your sunflower bouquet. Then we have the Sun-Kissed Wishes. This one here, this is the Sunflower Splendor. We've also got your Striking Sunflower. There's the Fabulous Frame. you've got your Hello Sunshine, and then you've also got your embossing folder as well, which is your Sumptuous Sunflowers, which has those two stencils within there as well. $94.99 or $122.55. That's a saving of £30 or $40.85. So really good saving on that for you. And of course, all of you that have some sort of Clum Inspire discount. Right, so busy also on the weekend Super Saver. If you didn't see this in the earlier Play Your Crafts Right show, a third of this has gone. It's very busy now. This is portable craft tote on its own, absolutely brilliant. Loads of you love these. Two really nice big pockets in here. You've got a divider on this side. You've got three big deep gusseted pockets on the front, places to store things like your pens. You've got clear pockets in here. It's a brilliant tote bag. However, if you get it today, we're going to send you, it's $19.95 in the US. We're going to send you $45 worth of adhesives as well. So things that are an absolute essential that you're definitely going to use. So in here you've got foam pads, 3 different sets of foam pads. They're going in there. I've definitely lost some of my, oh, they're here. You're going to get 3 of your red liners, all 3 different sizes. They're coming included. And you'll also get the all-purpose glue and foam on a roll too. They're worth $45.60 on their own. You're only paying $19.95 for that whole thing. $15.96 if you are a platinum member. Don't miss out on that. It's going very quickly. Desert Dweller says, has it cooled off yet where the studios are located? It has a bit actually. Today it's going to be 21 today, which is down from, was it like 38 here on Tuesday? So 37, 38. So yeah, it's much cooler. It hit 40 in Manchester. Yeah,
it was very, 39 at home. Yeah, it was just unbearable. We're just not used to it, are we? I know some people work in those temperatures, you know, for a big part of the year, but we're just not used to it here in the UK. And honestly, I was just sat there all day, and just going to the kitchen to get a drink was hard work. I was just sat there thinking, I want today to be over. And that's not me. I'm not one for wishing life away. But yeah, it was really tough.
It was much nicer when it cooled down the next day.
Yeah, it's a bit more manageable, sort of up to about 25 degrees. I
would rather it be 40 degrees than 15 degrees. I'd rather have it that hot than have to have it cold.
We were having a conversation about this. I always said, you know, when it's cold, you can layer up. You can put your jumpers on, you can get your hot water bottles, you know, whatever, get your central heating on. When it's hot, there's a limit to how much clothes you can take off before it starts getting dangerous, isn't there?
Dangerous.
So yeah, it's sort of like, which would you choose?
Need a good fan. That's what you need. A good fan makes all the difference. It really does. Any questions you've got as we go along, please keep getting them into me. Crafty TV on Facebook, Crafty Companion if you're over on YouTube. But I think we're ready for the next step, Jan, if you are.
Right, so next bit is to start cutting into our piece of pattern paper. So we need to make 18 little pieces. So we're going to decorate where we've got those columns, and there are 9 at each side. And these measure, we want 2.5 inches by 1 inch for each one. So it's a little bit fiddly. So what I did is I started with the sort of total area, then cut it into columns, and then cut my 1 inch pieces off, and I found that easier. Now, if you want them to match, so that I did, when I did this one, I actually, if you see here, look, the pattern on here, you can just see this here, follows round onto this bit. Now, it's not absolutely essential. The same here, I've got a little bit of sunflower on this one, and it follows round onto this one. You can see that the front ones and the back ones are overlapped, so it's not essential that they match. So don't worry about that unduly, but if you do want them to match, it's just a case of keeping your pieces in order when you've cut them. So to start off with, we need a piece of paper that measures 10 inches by 5. Okay, so we've got, let me just have a think. Yeah, 10 inches across the width of your paper, 5 inches deep. So I'm just going to cut this across at 5 inches on my guillotine. So I've just chosen a piece from the paper pad. So I've gone 5 inches on my guillotine here, and I'm going to take that whole piece off there. And then I'm going to turn it round, and I'm going to use this sort of peachier side and move this along to 10 inches. All right. So that's the total surface area that I need to make all those. You actually end up with 20 pieces. We get a couple of spares. So what I'm going to do now then is cut. I said that these were 2 3/4 inches. So coming in 1/4 inch brings us down to 2.5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this into 4 2.5 inch panels. So you can either line it up at 2.5 and cut off your panel. I tend to work the other way. I know that this measures 10 and I'm lazy about keep popping it back in the guillotine. So I'm just going to bring it to 7.5. So I've taken 2.5 inches off and cut my first one off this end. So that's my first column of 2.5 inches. Then I'm going to bring it along to 5, which has taken another 2.5 inches off, and cut that one. And then I'm going to bring it down to 2.5. And it just saves keep taking the paper and out of the guillotine, that's all. But again, no right or wrong. So I've now got 4 equal pieces.
One day they'll be even, Jan, when I do this.
Measure 2.5.
One day.
Okay. And then we need to cut those into 1-inch strips. Because these measure 1.25, again, I've come down 1/4 inch and we're going to do a little 1-inch panel. So again, I do the same again. I leave it in here at 5. I'm going to bring it down to 4 and cut 3 and cut 2 and cut and 1. And I just find that easier than keep taking the paper out and putting it back in again. And it's just maybe me being lazy. But you're going to end up with 5 pieces now, whoops, that measure 2.5 inches by 1, which is the perfect size to mat and layer into each of those rectangles. So I'm going to repeat that on all 4. I'm going to keep those together as one column. And I'm going to repeat it on all 4 pieces. So just again, it measured 5. Move it along to 4, gives you your first inch. To 3, gives you your second one. 2, gives you your third one. And down to 1 inch. Gives you...
Last one, you know,
the
Jan.
last one. That's why I prefer to come down that way rather than doing them all at 1 inch, because it is very close to the finger guard and everything that way. So it's just that last one there. And then again, we're going to do all 4 pieces the same. So you'll end up with 4 little piles of 5 pieces of pattern paper in each one. So 4 inches, 3 inches, 2 inch. And yeah, the 1 inch is right under the finger guard. So you just have to use the grid if you're using our guillotine and line it up. And then it's just a case of getting that last little bit out from underneath there. And that's number 3. And then same again for that last one. So 4. And this will give you 20 small pieces. Now we only need 18, but I found this was the quickest way of actually doing this. And I'm not too worried that there was a couple of pieces that were just scrap. Okay. So that's given me all. I've now got 4 sets of 5 pieces that all measure that 2.5 by 1 inch. Okay. I'm going to keep those to one side for a minute. And we're just going to cut into a piece of that yellow textured card as well. So we need to make a matte layer to this area here as well. So these 2 triangles are going to have a matte layer on in the textured cardstock to cover that piece as well. All right, so I can just hear Joe still chopping. It's a good guideline to have you crafting.
I'm
Joe.
done with those ones, yeah.
Yeah, because obviously your pace,
yeah.
I know that I'm sort of staying within the right.
Perfect. So that's my pattern paper done.
So just keep those to one side for a second then. I'm actually going to use the yellow on this one, I think. And we're going to create, to start off with, 2 rectangles that measured the same size as what we had in that original space here. All right, so when we actually did all our measurements, this one measures 3.5 across, and the depth was that 2 3/4. So I'm just going to take 1/4 inch off that, and I'm going to come down to 3 1/4.
So sorry, Jan. What? So you're? I'm a bit lost there.
Right. So your textured paper, yeah.
Yeah. So
Pop
also the A4. Yep.
And we're going to take a slice off at 3 1/4 inches. Yeah. And then I want it to measure 2.5 inches in depth. So again, I've got 2.5, and then I'm going to pop it back through because we need 2 of these, 1 for each side. So again, just to repeat that measurement, it measures 3 1/4 across here. So pop it you on the back again, you'll be able to see. Let me just move my guillotine. So both of the pieces are the same. At 3 1/4 by 2 1/2.
And we need 2 of those, do we?
And we need 2 of those, yep. And then we've just got a little bit of work to do on those. Okay, and then I'm going to give you some homework while we go to a break. All right. So again, on the back of here, I want you to find the central point on that long edge. All right. So half of 3 1/4 is 1 5/8. So I've got 1 inch, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8, and mark your central point again. Okay. I'm going to do that on both pieces. So again, line up your ruler. 1 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8, mark that central point. And then just like we did when we did that original template, we're going to come from that bottom corner up to that mark we've just made. And we're going to do the same from that top point down to the bottom corner. This is the best way to get something to mat and layer if it's in a regular shape. Because we've made this 1/4 of an inch smaller than the original space we had, when we cut our triangle out, it's going to have that 1/8 of an inch border all the way around it. Trust me. So again, I'm going to do the same on this one. So from that corner up to that central point, and from there down to the bottom corner. Okay, and then again, we're going to cut away those 2. So my central point's at the top here, and the 2 pieces at either side, we need to cut away to leave that little triangle in the centre. So it looks a little bit like one of the pyramids there. So I'm just going to take the scissors again. If you prefer to do it on a guillotine, you can line that pencil line up on your guillotine edge. But I'm actually cutting down that line to create 2 mat layers now that are going to fit in that gap. So again, just straight down the pencil line there. And take those edges away. So those are all scrap again. Get those out of the way so that we don't get mixed up with the pieces. And you should find now, when you bring your base back in, that these fit perfectly now with that little 1/8 of an inch border all the way around there. And then I've got the same for this side.
Perfect.
So everything's inverted as it comes down to the other side. So just make sure that you've got the long straight edge across here, and this is the point that we mark the halfway point at top and bottom. Now then, we're going to go to a little break here, but if you want to ink any of your items up, you can actually take I chose the Friar Brown and literally just went around the edges of all my little pieces. And this is a personal thing, it's not necessary, it is an option. And I also inked around the edge of the textured card as well. So if you want to do that, you can be getting on with that during that little break. If you're not bothered about the inking, then you're good to go for the next step when we come back from the break. Okay?
Brilliant. All right, let's take a quick break there. There's some ink pads as well I wanted to share with you. A lot of you going for these. A lot of you found these already over on the website. You'll have to excuse the mess around this sort of general area. It's normally nice and tidy over here, but not today. It's a creative workspace, according to Johnny.
Of course.
I like that thinking, Johnny. Let me take you back through what you've got to get in here. So the opaques are brilliant because you can do so much with them. You can blend with them. They heat emboss beautifully as well. So seal brown, straw bale. You're going to get the sandstorm, the pale fig, you've got the orange, the lemon tonic, which is one of my favourite colours, lagoon, which is that one just there. You've always got, and then you've got the green topaz, the grasshopper, and also the Friar Brown there as well. £46.99 or £70.99 if you want to get your hands on those ones. Right, let's take a quick break. Give me a chance to tidy up, in all honesty, and then when we come back, we'll check in with our guest crafters and see how everyone is getting on. Let's share with you all the details in the meantime of Club Inspire.
Welcome to Club Inspire, the crafters' companion community where you can feed your crafty obsession. Join our fantastic loyalty club today and receive 20% off your first order. We'll also give you 250 points to help get you started. Other benefits of joining Club Inspire include exclusive special offers and discounts for Club Inspire members only, exclusive sneak peek previews of brand new product launches, and of course the Club Inspire community group on Facebook, where you can access exclusive content such as downloads, offers and inspiration, and of course you can chat and share your makes with other members. You'll receive 1 point for every pound, dollar or euro you spend, and the more points you receive, the more benefits you'll unlock. So what are you waiting for? Sign up, join the club and start rewarding yourself today.
Quick Buy, all your crafting must-haves in a flash.
Achieve crisp, precise, and perfect die cutting results every time with the Gemini Accessories Plastic Shim. The idea behind the plastic shim is that it creates a thicker plate combination, offering an even more precise die cutting result with each pass. Simply pop a plastic shim between your cutting plates and then roll through your Gemini die cutting machine and voila! An amazing precise cut every time. Plastic shims work really well with detailed or thin metal dies. So if intricate cutting is your thing, then the Gemini Accessories Plastic Shim is your best friend.
Quick Buy, get yours now.
Welcome to Crafters TV. With more than 35 hours of live shows each week, it's your home for all things craft. So, join our family of craft experts with live tutorials and demonstrations every day. We shine the spotlight on new and innovative crafting products here on Crafters TV.
Just reach down me bra and take it off. No, not me bra! No, me bra!
Get creative and craft along with our amazing deals. Your next craft project is only a click away. Tune in live 7 days a week or watch on catch up at crafterscompanion.com, Facebook or our YouTube channel. You can chat to us, craft along and meet new friends in our online crafting community.
You entertain us, you give us a community to talk, in the chat. That wouldn't happen without you guys. It's like Crafters Companion is magical. There's magic here.
You're all our time with each other! You're not through to boot camp. Get off!
There's a show for every type of crafter, from first-time dabblers to full-time makers. So, stop what you're doing and enjoy the fun here on Crafters TV.
Done. Lots you seem to be keeping up, which is good. Elaine says, you're doing a great job, Joe. I love this project, Jan, following along in sunny Florida. Teresa says, good job. Christine says, go Joe, honestly. Rhonda says, such a great deal. If I didn't already have 5 of the totes, I'd be grabbing that today, says Rhonda. Tina says, good morning, Miss Jan, lovely to see you. Deborah says, I don't like being too hot or too cold, but the heat was too much. 20 to 21 degrees with a gentle breeze, so there's some air. I know, Goldilocks, they go on to say. Crafty says, can hear the panic in Joe's cutting. That's why I ordered the extra paper pads to take into account for a bit of wonky cutting. There's definitely a bit of wonky cutting going on there. You wait till we see it come together. Carrie says, Joe, so impressed you're trying this. It makes it look easier than I think. Jan, you're such a good teacher. I am loving it. And Panda Craft, Desert Dweller, Mary Rhino, all loving it, as is Rhonda too. Quivesy says, love Jan's demo, so informative and creative. Melanie D says, I always love a Jan craft along. And Desert Dweller says, Jan is my favourite. I try to watch all of her shows. Not Desert Dweller, which is what I try to think it is. My brain just sees dessert in every aspect of life, Jan, I think. But right, let's drop back in on our crafters and see how it's coming along. Right, let's drop in on Betsy in Texas. Right, there's a lot of info there, Betsy. How are you keeping up?
I'm doing great. I'm just getting my little pieces with the brown on them, trying not to make them too big of a mess.
Oh, amazing. So I don't think you're the sort of person that makes a mess. Looking at the snapshot of your craft space, I can see it looks so incredibly organised, Betsy.
It is. I'm very neat. I'm very neat and organized, except for right now. If you look at my desk, it looks like my crafts threw up.
Oh, well, I won't distract you for too much longer. I'll come and see
But
you
I'm
again.
with you, Joe. Some of my cuts are a little wonky. My little triangle's a little wonky. I need to go back to geometry, I guess.
You and me both, Betsy. You and me both. I'll join you again very, very shortly. Let's pop over and see how Lisa's getting on in Norfolk. How's it going, Lisa?
Good, thank you. Yes, I've got all my bits cut out. So
Excellent. Wonky triangles or triangles all good?
triangles are okay, I think.
Excellent.
They fit on.
Oh, perfect. That's always great. Look at that. Absolutely perfect. We'll come and see you again very soon, Lisa.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Right. Are we going to dive back in, I think. Excellent.
So, next bit's sticking. So, choices of glue now. Now we've got a choice here. We can go, if you prefer the wet glue, with the all-purpose, because that provides a little bit of strength as well. If you prefer a dry one, probably your tape pen. All right. So
I think,
how good
Jan,
you are
I think
at positioning with things.
See, the thing is, Jan, tape pen, not going to make a mess, am I?
No.
Not going to get any
I'm
wiggle
going to use
room.
my tape pen.
Are
today.
you? I think I might go
did use wet
glue.
glue at home. When I made this one, I used wet glue purely because I've got a little bit more time. But I think for ease and speed today, the tape runner is going to do the trick. So I'm going to leave the two triangles for now. We've got that lovely little pile of pieces. And what we're going to do is we're going to cover all 9 of these end rectangles. Now the central column, if you look at this here, this is sort of the base. The central column is going to be the ones that you probably see most of. So if you've chosen a paper that has got any nice patterning on it or bits that you want to see, they're probably better in that middle section. All right, you see a little bit of the detail on the others, but you can see where they're overlapped that we are going to lose some of the pattern on both sides. So I don't want to be too precious about this because I get myself, at home I was like, oh, I've got to match them all up. Spent ages trying to get everything to match, but really it doesn't matter so much. All you're going to do is stick one piece in each of the rectangles for all 9 pieces. All right. So again, you know, however you want to do them, just literally get those 9 pieces on. Now I can just see there's a little bit of writing on mine. So I'm just going to, even though these are going to overlap a little bit, I want to make sure that the writing is the right way. So you're coming, this is going to be the top edge, coming down to the base. So while we're working on this side, your paper wants to be this way up. Okay, to that straight edge at the top. And then once you've got those settled in place, just simply a little bit of adhesive. If you're using your tape pen, remember that little flick, and then just nestle these nicely. You should have a little 1/8 of an inch border all the way around those rectangles and get those stuck down. So all 9 of those pieces, once you've decided which bit's going where, get those stuck on to that base piece. So again, they will all fit the same with that same border round. And sometimes it's better not to think too hard about it. As I say, I got all these pieces and I was trying to match them up at home and I thought, oh, I'm going to be here forever and a day. So I literally just go for it. Get them stuck down and you should have sort of an approximately the same border all the way around the edge. So again, I like those pieces with the little splodges on. So I'm going to put, she says, rearranging everything already.
Yeah.
Look.
Tape pen definitely easier, Jan, in this situation. I tried the wet glue.
It's quicker. As I say, at home I use the wet glue on mine, but it is much, much quicker with the, and I want to try and get as much of the construction in for you as I can. Like I've said previously, you know, decoration wise, it is fairly straightforward. So I just want to get the construction side of it done so that you've got a finished basket there. And you can do this in any colourway. I chose the craft card just because we were using that sunflower collection and it went really nicely with it. If you wanted to do this, I noticed Lisa was using a lovely shade of blue there, which I can't wait to see that one finished. But yeah, you could use your smooth all-purpose card. You could use the matte black card. You want something that's a decent weight for the actual basket itself. But yeah, lots of different ways of doing these. So again, I've just onto my pieces there and just making sure that all 9 of those are stuck down nicely. And then you know what's coming next.
So you end up getting a bit of a sticky counter at this point, Jen.
Do I get a what?
Bit of a sticky counter.
Not usually. So I've got all 9 of those stuck down.
Yeah, fair to say
now.
my counter is very, I mean, it's
You're
everywhere.
sticking it onto your counter.
I've got, yeah, everything's sticking to my counter now. I don't know
And then I'm just going to rotate the whole thing, and we're going to do exactly the same at this side. So take your next set, however you want them to fit. Again, I can just see a little bit of writing in mine. So the only thing I'm doing is making sure that that writing is the right way up where possible. So again, I like those pieces that have got the peachy tones in. In fact, I think I'm going to have those 3 run down the middle. And then the others are going a little bit more sort of blue-grey.
I've been quite fortunate and I've picked a paper pad that seems to be almost identical back and front.
Yeah. And you'll have 2 pieces left over. Remember I said we'd cut 20 and we only needed 18. So you've got 2 pieces left over. When you're happy with the positioning on these ones, then you can get those stuck down exactly the same. So again, I'm sticking with the tape runner, and we're going to get all those pieces in place too. So again, 9 pieces on that other side. And again, remember, if they have got any kind of orientation, the flat edge is the top. So your pattern wants to be this way up, all right, across that straight edge. So again, just sticking them in. You should have that same little border all the way around. And I think that's definitely the quickest way with that tape runner of doing those.
Yeah, they are brilliant, the tape runners, aren't they?
They are, and the tape's plenty strong enough to actually use them for construction as well. We tend to do a lot of the boxes with the red line tape because that is a heavy duty double-sided self-adhesive tape, but the tape runners are just as strong. You just end up with a preference for things. I do openly admit that I overuse my red line tape. I use it for all sorts of things where you could probably get away with using an ordinary double-sided tape, but I do sort of have it on my desk all the time and I use it for all sorts of stuff. So again, just popping those in. Don't worry if you're not going quite as fast. Again, we'll give you time to catch up with this. So that one's got a little bit of writing. It's just the ones with the writing on, I've made sure I can read it this way up. And then I've just got those last 2 pieces, remembering which ones you've stuck and which ones are not done. Whoops, don't stick it to the desk.
That's my treat, Jan.
So again, that last one in place there, that's a nice plain one, so that one can just go on so. So I think they're all, yep, they're all stuck down. So make sure they're all nicely finished off. And then the last thing I'm going to do is stick the triangles into those. So if you have a look at them, they'll be wonky one way. So you need to make sure that you have that a little point that we made the central mark on when we did the work on the back wants to go to the outside edge, and that will fit nicely. If you get your triangle rotated the other way, you'll see that it's not quite the same dimension. So you want that nice long edge across the bottom, and then I'm going to do the same with those. I'm going to pop those on with my tape runner as well, so that we've got those sides decorated at the ready. And again, you should just have a little tiny border all the way around it of the craft card showing.
I tell you what, Jan, my triangle is not wonky.
There you
I am
go.
absolutely, my flabber is gasted. It's not wonky at all.
As I say, if you start with the original rectangles and just go down the 1/4 inch, you should end up with a piece that's got that. Now I've just stuck mine down there. I might be able to get it back up again. It's just slightly further over on one side than the other. There we go, look. It's the beauty of the tape pen before you've rubbed it down. So again, I just want to try and make sure it's fairly even. That's better.
I actually find the triangle easier to line up the mat and layer than I do with a regular square.
Yeah.
I spoke a little bit too soon about that not wonky triangle though.
I've
got one slightly wonky one.
As long as you've not given it a really hard press, you should be able to lift it again. That's it.
Maybe not now, George. maybe not now. Maybe like in a minute.
Not now.
George is
But
like,
we
should we have a look at Joe's? I'm like, no.
So we've got our 9 on this side, 9 pieces on this side, and the 2 little triangles that we cut. And this is going to be the base, the underneath of the box there. All right. And then just a couple of bits of adhesive at the ready. So I've taken my thinnest of the red line tape. I did put all 3 of these sizes on because I have used different ones at different times through the project. So the thinnest one is the 3mm. And I want you to go top left and very bottom right. And all I'm going to do is run a little tiny bit. So if I take these out of the way, I'm only working on that top section. On the 1/4 of the 1/8 of an inch that was remaining, I've just gone, and I'll show you this closer to the camera when I've stuck it on. I've just gone along that border there from edge to edge with a little piece of tape. Okay? And then I'm going to spin it all the way round, and you're going to do the opposite. So this one's down here now. I want this one up here. So
Betsy doesn't have any red liner tape.
If you haven't got the
Jan.
red liner tape, then you can do this with wet glue. Obviously the tape runner, the tape will be a little bit wide for what we're going to do with this. So you might just need a little bead of wet glue. Don't do that yet though. I'll show you how we're going to stick this together.
Would you mind just recapping where we're putting the tape as well, Jan, while you're there?
Absolutely, yep. So if you've got it this way up, which is how we had this section with the straight edge here.
Yeah.
I've gone for this top left corner.
Yeah.
And then I'm down here in the bottom right corner.
Oh gosh, I've done it wrong.
All right. If you've gone this side and this side, it will still work. If
Ah,
you've gone
brilliant.
top right
That's-
and bottom left,
Top right and bottom left, that's
will
all right.
still work.
I would just wanted to, I was obviously just,
it will still
seeing
work.
if you could just keep me
Yeah.
on your toes, Jan,
As long
obviously.
as you've got opposite corners, it doesn't really matter which way around you do it.
Excellent.
It
Well,
will
I am on
still-
bottom
What we're going
corner.
to do with them, it will still work. Because we're going to join eventually this one to here. And then we're going to join this one to here.
Lisa's got a question as well, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's bring Lisa in.
So is the tape on the short bit of the rectangle or the longer bit?
The short one again. So if I bring this right up so that our George can come and have a look. These are my 3 pieces on one side here. And I've just gone, if I take these 2 out of the way, I've just gone along the short, very outside edge. So this is my straight edge here. Yep. And then I've gone just along that little short edge. So that 1 inch, 1 1/4 inch depth. And
Okay.
I've gone
Is that one too wide? So just does it go over the top or just on the?
just on the craft card. Okay, so you've got an 1/8 of an inch border all the way around the paper, and my tape, my 3mm tape, just covers that 1/8 of an inch. If you have anything wider than that, it may show. So it might be worth, when we come to stick it, just running a little bead of wet glue along here with your sort of tacky glue, if you've got tacky glue there. But we'll do that as we stick it. Don't pop it on yet because it will dry. With the red line tape, obviously I can prepare it.
Does that help, Lisa?
Yes, thank you.
No worries.
So, we're almost ready to actually bring this all together now.
Jan.
Yep. So, what we want to do then is to just make sure everybody's okay before we start getting to that. Well, you're all okay with that?
Should we take a really
Top left, do a quick break just to make sure everybody's with us. I don't want to move on and leave people behind.
No, let's
yeah?
not. Let's take a really quick break now. Remember what's coming up a little bit later this evening here on Crafters TV. Of course, we've got a craft house with myself and Jan, which is going to be a load of fun. It's looking at all things Sarah's Signature, which is always lovely. Some brilliant deals in there. Some massive savings. So I'll be with myself and Jan back here at 6 p.m. in the UK, 1 o'clock if you are over on the East Coast. So do not miss out on that. Make sure you come and join the both of us for that. We'll give you a really quick break actually. So whilst you just finish off the sticking, the cutting and all of those little bits, let's share with you all the details of US shipping.
We've had to make some changes to our shipping charges and we want to keep you informed. With continued pressure on domestic shipments around mainland US, we've had to temporarily increase the cost of our regular 6 to 10 working day standard shipping service from $9.99 to $12.95 and our free shipping threshold from $100 to $125. We also have some really great news to tell you. We've introduced a brand new shipping service called Express Delivery. This is a fully tracked door-to-door service which takes 3 to 7 working days and costs $19.95. This option means you'll get your crafty goodies in your hands sooner, meaning less waiting and more crafting. We're also upgrading delivery services for our Gold and Platinum Club Inspire members who will now receive priority delivery on all of their orders. And if that wasn't enough, we've upgraded these orders to our new Express 3 to 7 day service. Your patience and understanding throughout this very busy time has been amazing. So we'd just like to say a huge thank you, and we look forward to chatting to you again very soon.
Quick Buy, all your crafting must-haves in a flash. Draw, decorate, and customize your world with the colorful Spectrum Noir acrylic paint markers. Each premium paint marker gives opaque coverage on ceramic, glass, wood, and let's not forget paper, cardstock, and canvas. These versatile markers are filled with highly pigmented premium water-based paint, offering beautiful, rich, and smooth coverage. The colors can be blended together, and the fast-drying opaque paint is ideal for layering. A 3mm bullet tip offers smooth strokes, and a precision valve mechanism allows rich and consistent flow with no clogging. Quick Buy, all your crafting must-haves in a flash.
Welcome to Club Inspire, the Crafters Companion community where you can feed your crafty obsession. Join our fantastic loyalty club today and receive 20% of your first order. We'll also give you 250 points to help get you started. Other benefits of joining Club Inspire include exclusive special offers and discounts for Club Inspire members only, exclusive sneak peek previews of brand new product launches, and of course the Club Inspire community group on Facebook, where you can access exclusive content such as downloads, offers and inspiration, and of course you can chat and share your makes with other members. You'll receive 1 point for every £, dollar or euro you spend, and the more points you receive, the more benefits you'll unlock. So what are you waiting for? Sign up, join the club and start rewarding yourself today.
Right, I see lots of smiling faces, so I'm thinking everyone's pretty much just about to, it's about ready. Lorna Jane says, okay, Brill, thanks for the extra break. I'm all caught up now, so everyone seems to be about there, Jan.
Right, so what we're actually going to do then is put the base part of the basket together. So if I take my tissue out of here, you can see that the top part of my basket is straight. Let me move that one out of the way. So here, this top edge is straight, and you can see through the back there across here. So that's the bit that we're going to work on first, and then the rest of it sort of falls into play. So if you turn it on its side, okay, and then flip it so that it's standing the right way, and then you should have one of these two ends should have your tape on, whichever way around you've done it. All right, so we're going to bring these together. I'm going to take the liner off my piece of red line tape. So just give it a nice little press and take the liner off it to expose the adhesive without taking all the tape away, Jan. And all I'm going to do is bring these two together. So these are the two edge pieces here. Forget what's happening in the middle for now. Get all those out of the way. Bring these two together, and you're just going to overlap them where that tape is. So literally I'm keeping them straight, and I've used the 1/8 of an inch that was showing off this one here and overlapped it onto the tape. So we've now just got almost like that 1/8 of an inch gap in between, you can see there. Yeah, and then it's overlapped underneath and it's stuck with the tape inside. Does that make sense?
Yep, done that.
Yep. Now I'm going to leave the other side for now because I'm going to work on this one. So this is probably the trickiest bit. So what we're going to do is then bring in the next two, and you sort of need to angle them a little bit, and there's no exact measurement with this. You'll get a feel for it. These two are going to angle up a little bit. The next two are going to angle up a little bit. And then your triangle is going to go over the top. Now the triangle won't reach the top of the basket. Don't worry about that. doesn't matter where it lands, as long as you've got those edges. So the corner pieces, can you see how this one's stuck out here? They want to be stuck behind the triangle, so you've got that nice sort of neat finish like so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah? So have it what I call a dry run with it first to see where it all sits and what it looks like. But as I say, there's no definite thing about it must overlap, you know, however far. It's just a case of getting that nice sort of look here on the outside with all those little edges tucked under that triangular piece in the centre. Bearing in mind that you'll probably have about 3/4 of an inch at the top that doesn't have any cover over it. That's where obviously you're going to have your sentiment's going to cover and the decorations at the back is going to cover over. So don't worry that it doesn't reach all the way up. So what I did with mine is sort of had a dry run with it like that, then brought these ones back out of place and just work with the next two down. And I'm going to use my tacky glue in my fine tip applicator. So literally, I'm going to bring this one over. I'm going to look roughly where I've got the overlap, and I'm just going to pop a little bit of wet glue in that area where it's going to overlap like so. And then take that one over and stick it down. And then just hold it for a second until that glue grabs. And then the same at this side. So I'm going to bring this one up and I'm going to make sure the corner's about level with the one I've just stuck down. Look how much of it I've got covered. And again, I'm going to put a bit of tacky glue on there, and I had a little bit on here where this overlapped. All right. And again, I'm going to bring that one over. Don't worry if you've got a little bit sticking out, because as I say, we're going to cover a lot of this with the embellishment. And just work on the fact that these two corners here are about the same kind of height. Now mine just sit nicely either side of that 1/8 of an inch that we stuck down originally here. So I've got a corner here and a corner here with that sort of central part going up the middle. All right, so again, as I say, it's not an exact science. As long as you don't have any gaps here at the end, that if you've got a gap in it here, it means you've not overlapped it far enough at the corners. You should be able to get cardstock over cardstock on each one. And then I'm going to bring in these next two. And again, look at where they sit. You want to be working constantly, pretty much down that central line down the middle there. All right. So again, I'm going to see where that one sits. I'm just going to have a look underneath, and I'm going to pop some glue under there and bring that one in. So again, I'm sort of eyeballing this central piece here to make sure that it's not too far across.
Did you say we're going to have something to hide this on both sides,
Yes.
Jan? We are, brilliant. That's handy.
So as I say, if they don't match or it looks uneven, don't worry, because all the embellishment's going to cover this area. And again, I'm going to bring that one in. Just make sure when you lift it up that they're tucked behind that little triangle, especially the bottom two, because it depends how far down you bring your embellishment. So again, I can see where that one wants to go. I'm going to pop some glue underneath, and you can see where the wet glue comes in handy now for this. And then tack that last one down there. Just hold it in place. And again, I didn't quite go far enough there, so I'm going to pop a little bit under that side just to squeeze it down so that you've got, wherever it's touching, you've got a little bit of adhesive to hold it together. So it should look sort of like that. Working, as I say, down that central line there. Don't worry that this bit's overlapping, because that triangle's going to cover that. So when this bit then folds over, yeah, it's going to cover a lot of that detail, and you can see how that's looking. Now, because this was that last bit, I'm actually going to use a bit of the red line tape again on here, just to make sure that it's nice and secure. So again, just down the two outside edges, and this is where, if you've got the slightly wider tape, either will work here. So I'm just going to pop a bit of tape. Could have done this before I actually put it together, actually, it might have been easier. Just down those two open edges there. As I say, if you've got the wider one, it won't matter here, because this is all going to stick shut, like so. just give it a press down and then take your liner off of there. I'm going to have a look whereabouts it's going to cover. So I've got a bit under here where I can pop a little bit of extra wet glue. And then you're going to line the point of your triangle up with that sort of imaginary central line again. So just keep it nice and straight. And then you can give it a good press where you put the tape, a good press where you put the wet glue, and you've got your first side complete. So a little bit tricky, but not too bad. And once you get the idea of the concept behind that, obviously your next side's going to be a little bit more simple. So what I am actually going to do to make life easier is put my red line tape on the triangle first, because it gets a bit fiddly when it's all put together. So just on those two outside edges in preparation.
Jan, can I make a confession?
You can.
I put tacky glue on the triangle, is that all right?
You put what, sorry?
I put tacky glue on the triangle instead of the red liner tape.
No, that's fine.
Is that going to work?
That's good, yeah, that's absolutely fine. And like I said, glues, a lot of it with the glues is preference, Joe.
Yep.
And I am a big lover of my red line tape. It's not that I don't trust the wet glues, there's just certain places where I do like the red line tape. But no, if you want to use wet glue on here, it will work just the same, okay? You might have to just hold it in place until that glue's grabbed. But then we're going to do exactly the same on this side. So get those other pieces out of the way first. And if you remember, the first thing we did was overlap these two to keep that top edge nice and straight. So again, I'm just going to take the liner off that little piece of red line tape that we put in. And you can see now why it needed to be the thin piece of tape, because otherwise you would have had excess tape showing here, which is still going to show on this bit here. So that narrow tape is perfect for this. Again, just overlap one piece onto the next, lining up both edges, top and bottom, whoops, and get that one stuck down first. And that sort of gives you the scaffolding for the rest of them. So you want nice straight edges along this top part of your basket. And that gives you the readiness for the other pieces. And then it's just the same again. We're going to bring these two in first. Then we're going to bring the bottom ones in, and this one should actually fit together easier because the other side's in place, and then you're going to stick that triangle down last so that you've got that sort of angled piece here with your triangle in the centre. Okay, so just like we did before, I'm going to take those pieces out of the way that I'm not working on yet. I tend to come in from the left first and then the right. It doesn't matter which way around. If you come in from the right and the left, doesn't matter. All right, so again, I'm just going to bring that one up. I'm going to eyeball where it is, pop a little bit of wet glue in and get that one stuck in place. Just hold it down for a second. And then I'm going to do the same with this one to this side. So again, I'm just looking at which bit's being covered. I'm going to pop some glue in there. A little tiny bit on the bottom here because these are going to overlap slightly. And if you do get any glue like I have here, the tacky glue dries clear, so I just rub that bit away and it'll dry out of the way. So again, I've got those sort of fairly evenly spaced down that what would be the central point there again. And they've both come about the same height at either side of it. And then again, we're onto that bottom piece. So again, just try them first, see where they sit. Make sure that they're going to disappear behind that triangle. And once you're happy with that, again, I'm just judging how much of it's covered. Popping that in place. And take it a little bit further over there. And then getting that one stuck down. Hold it in place. And then I'm going to bring this one back over this side. So again, I tend to just put my thumb where it stops so that I know to put the glue underneath it, and then you're going to have a little bit of overlap. And that one's going to go and hold it in place until that glue's just grabbed.
Lots of people still chatting away. Kathy says, Jan is such a great teacher, explains everything. Feel like I'm having my own tutor. Renee says, just love watching Jan do demos. She's so easy to follow. One of the best teachers ever.
Oh, thank you.
And Kirsty Lisa, I've just realised it's actually my first live craft line. I'm usually at work, so I have to do it later. Well, it's great. I think there's quite a lot of people doing it along with us. I think we get that a bit more on a Saturday, maybe.
Yes.
We'll be
there's
able
a
to
lot
show...
of people at work, aren't there, during the week?
Yeah, if we don't show the pictures at the end of this show, you'll be able to send them in between shows. We can show pictures again now, which is great. So we can do that in the later Craft House show, which will be lovely. So make sure when you have finished, you send them to studio@crafterscompanion.co.uk is where you need to send them to.
And then the last bit, I've just took the liner off. And again, I've tried to make sure that the point on the triangle is about on that central line there. So you can see now we've got our little basket at the ready, good to go. All we need to do now is make the handle, and then we've got the embellishment side of it. Now, if I run out of time, people always say, oh, Jan never gets anything thin finished. You know, we never get the embellishments done, but the embellishments are the easy bit, really, and they can be very personal. So you might not want to follow my sort of plan with the embellishments. I will talk you through what I've done. As long as I've got the construction side of it done for you, that's the main part of the sort of the lesson here. Sticking the embellishments on really is sort of like the easy part of it. So we're going to go on to do the handle, which is just a straight piece of cardstock. I've just layered it up with some elements just to make it look pretty. And we're good to go. So that's why I said if you were using A4 card that you would need a second piece of cardstock to make the handle out of. Now, if you've used a sheet of 12 by 12, you've probably got a strip left that you can use. So I actually made mine 1.5 inches wide in total. So I'm going to bring it to 1.5 inches, and along the long side of the card, I'm going to cut off a strip that measures 1.5 inches there. But I only need it to be 9 inches long. So again, flip it round, line it up at 9, and I'm just going to take that edge off it. So I've got a piece now that measures 9 inches in length by 1.5 in width. And again, I'll pop that on here because I know some of you guys like to take the screenshot. So if we put on the back of here that this is the handle, it measures 9 inches.
I guess you could play around with this handle measurement, could you, Jan, depending on what you want from the handle?
Yep, depends how high, you know, how wide you want it. But yeah, if you just want to make a note of that, I've written it on there for you guys to just take a quick screenshot. And then all I've done is just matted and layered that now. So I've taken a piece of the leftover textured card. Okay, so I've got some scraps here that I was using earlier. And I want a piece of the patterned paper that was left over as well. All right, so that's my first piece. And then we're going to mat and layer. So the second piece I'm going to keep at 9 inches long, which I've got there, but I'm going to come down to 1.25 inches this time. So just 1.25 inches, and we're going to have that 1/8 of an inch border running down each side of the handle. So 1.25, but I'm going to keep it at 9 inches. They're all going to be the same length. So I think that one's all but, yeah. Oops. Yep, so 9 inches across. And then this one will fit on here, edge to edge, but you should have that bit of a border on either side there. And then the paper, again, if you've got a piece, you know, that you particularly like, I'm just going to take a strip off here now, and this wants to come down to 1 inch. So I'm just going to line that up with the 1 inch mark, take a strip off there, keep all the other bits to one side. And then this wants to be 9 inches as well. So I don't think it matters which bit. I've got the more peachy tone, I think, on the basket. So we'll use that edge there over the to 9 inches. Take that piece off. And this is going to, it's just essentially matting and layering that strip. So we've got, looks like so. Okay. Now again, you know, Jan's OCD says I've got to just whip down that edge with the ink, which just takes seconds. It's not absolutely necessary. It is something that you either like or you sort of not bothered about. So whichever way you want to do it. I'm going to bring it down the yellow card as well, just so that it stands off that craft card nicely and it tones in with the rest of it. And then again, we need to stick that in place. So the old tape runner, I'm going to pop the yellow layer on first, just as if you were matting and layering a card front or anything like that. Down each side, remembering that those ends match. So I'm going to centre it on one end and then just lay it flat along the rest of it. And then I'm going to do the same with the pattern piece. I'd do the same again. So again, it's the same length, so layer it up at one end, get it in the middle, and then just lay this one down so that you've got an equal border all the way along. So you should end up with that long strip, 9 inches long, with those mats and layers on there. And then I'm going to jump to that wider piece of tape now. So this is the 12mm red line tape now, and I'm going to put a piece right across both ends on the top. So this is over the mats and layers. This is actually going to fit inside here. So obviously the sticky wants to be on the top section. So I'm going to put one on that end, one on this end. If you haven't got the red line tape, your glue will work just the same. You might just need to either hold it or just clip it in place until it dries. There'll be a little bit of resistance because we're going to curl this bit now and give it some shape. So just making sure that that's nice and secure. And then I'm going to take my my larger bone folder. So anything that you've got that's slightly longer, it can be the edge of a pair of scissors if you don't have the bigger bone folder, and just run it and start stretching those fibres, and you'll see this start to curve. You want to actually make it sort of curve over. Now that's actually releasing my tape a little bit, but I think we'll be okay once we've got it in place. So you actually want it to sort of bend over, so you're getting this kind of shape. Yeah? So again, just manipulate that card until you've got it sort of nice, and it's almost like just sort of breaking the fibres down to make sure that it's willing to curve like so. And then I'm going to take the liner off one end, and I've just literally popped this just about this depth, so the 12mm. Again, I'm going to sort of eyeball the centre part here, and I'm going to work with that. We had the central line on the basket, and then just pop that inside and stick it on the inside there. Okay, and then flip it over, and we're going to do the same at this side. Now I will go through all that again because I know we've just sort of whipped through that and done it all in one go. So I will go through it again for you. You can see there we've got our little handle on there. Okay, so it was a 9-inch strip to start off with by 1.5 inches for the craft card. Then we did a 9-inch strip by 1.25 inches for the textured card, and then we did a 9-inch strip by 1 inch for the pattern paper. Got them all stuck in place. Pop that tape across the bottom just for, and if you haven't got the tape, as I say, the wet glue will work just the same. You just might need to hold it in place for a little while just for that glue to grab. And then all I've done is drop it inside the width of the tape and centred it on that line that we were using on here. And I've done that on both sides, and you can see we've got our little basket at the ready. Now the only thing that I did with my one that I did at home, and this all depends what you've got in your craft stash. I actually had some strip beads that I put across the handle here. You can just see those on here. If you've got anything like that in your stash, or if you've got a piece of lace or anything like that that you want to embellish with, all I did then was go down to that sort of thinner tape again. In fact, I think I used the middle size one, and run a piece all the way down the centre, and then basically just stuck my beads. These actually come on a strip, So I've just stuck them all over the centre there. But again, this is all optional decoration now. It's not essential. This is the construction side of it. The rest of it is just the decoration piece, all right? So if you want to add that on, you can either do that now or you can do it at a later date. And then all we've got left to do really, and I'm pleased that we've still got half an hour left to do this, I'm going to show you how to cut the flowers and assemble those together really.
Brilliant.
So this one, I'm just going to talk very quickly through. I'm not going to do anything yet, just talk what we've got on here. This one is just using the nesting circles. And the Sun-Kissed Wishes is from the set that I was using earlier with that half sunflower and we've just got Sun-Kissed Wishes. Now I've got mine underneath each other. I just snipped my stamp in half so that I could literally pop them underneath each other. But again, you know, you might want a different centre on there. It's entirely up to you. Used a little bit of ribbon to make a bow on there. And then we're going to have a go at making some of these nice little sunflowers to decorate with. So I'm going to stop there for a second. We'll come back together and I'll show you how I've put the little flowers together if you haven't done them before.
Brilliant. Well, I'm not going to embellish mine, Jan. I'm going to pause just there. Well, look, I'm very happy.
Get you.
Yeah, I'm really happy. Maybe I need to put the nested. Maybe I need to put the panel, just the round panel on the side. I think I might just cut the round panels with the nesting dies just to hide the workings. But I'm very, very happy.
Like Easter baskets or something like that.
Yeah.
Fill them with the little Easter eggs.
It's going straight in my basket. Yes, very right. I'm going to give everyone a moment then, just to pause there. Very busy on this. Oh my giddy aunt. Second show of the weekend saver is approaching half the stock gone. This tote is amazing. They're brilliant value. We're not quite sure why it's less in the US than it is in the UK. We don't know. Maybe it's a mistake. Take advantage of it. 3 nice big pockets on the outside of here. Pen storage on the inside. It collapses down beautifully as well. But the thing is about this, when you're going for this today, you're going to get $45 worth of adhesives in the US as well. So we're going to give you an all-purpose glue. That's going to go in there. You've got some foam on a roll. We're going to include that. You've also got your, what are these called? Foam pads, that's what they're called. They're going to be in there. And you've also got your red liner tape. All of that is going to come included. That has a value of £45.60 or £20.52. So make sure you are snapping that up because that is really awesome value. It should be around all weekend. It is not going to be at this rate because half has gone and there's a lot of those in baskets at the moment. So you will need to snap those up. Right then, I think we'll go back to Jan with some embellishments. I'm just going to cut a couple of little circles to pop onto my side, and then I think I'm done. Yeah. I'm very happy with that.
That looks great.
Yeah, really pleased.
Over there. See, I told you could do it. He was like, oh, I don't know. Knew it had every faith. So I'm just going to show you how the little dies work if you've not actually come across these or if you've not used them yet. So this one's actually the Striking Sunflower and they're a gorgeous little embellishment. So I made mine out of card, but if you've got that collection and you've got the flower forming foam, you can actually make these out of the foam as well. You can do them flat like we're going to do with the cardstock, or you can actually shape them if you've got the heat from the iron, things like that. So different ways to work with them, but we're just going to keep it simple and do them in paper. So I asked you to gather some scraps together of the yellow for the petals, green for the leaves, brown for the centres. So I've literally just got some bits and pieces. This is all textured cardstock. It doesn't have to be textured. It can be any cardstock there that fits. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the flower petals out of the yellow. I'm going to cut a couple of the leaves out of the green. And I'm going to cut the centrepiece out of the brown. Okay, simple as that. All right, there are 2 centerpieces. So again, if you want to build this up and decoupage it, you can do the small one over the top, but I'm just going to keep it at that. I'm just going to grab a little bit of low tack tape, tape those in place. Now these will fit through your mini, so if you do have your mini handy, obviously the little dies are going to fit through there. I'm going to cut these pieces down and pop them all on my Gemini plates because that's what I have out. I did say sort of from the midi upwards, so again, you know, they're easily going to fit, whoops, through your midi. Got one trying to escape there. So just the general rule is don't let your dies touch. That's the only thing that we ask you not to do so that you're not going to damage the metal work on the dies. So all I'm going to do is cut those pieces of card down so that I've got what I need there to work with. And then I've got my Gemini plates here, and I'm just going to fill these up and pass them through that Gemini now. So again, thin metal dies. I've got my usual sandwich there, and we'll pass that through. Joe's gone rogue now. He's over there doing his own thing. He's got his basket made. He's doing his own thing over there.
Just cutting some mats and layers, that's all I'm doing. You can actually get a 10% saving on the MIDI if you want it, and it's with 50 bonus points as well. So if you are in the market for a MIDI, then absolutely, we've got you covered. I love the MIDI. It's a star buy for the day. The MIDI's absolutely my favourite one to use.
I use it a lot at home, actually, the MIDI, yeah, so that I'm not using my clear Gemini plates unnecessarily. So if you're just cutting embellishments out and things like this, it's ideal. And then if you have access to a foam mat and the shaping tools, you can shape the flowers. If you don't, you can shape them with your fingers, you can leave them flat again. It's entirely up to you. What I like to do with these is turn the sunflower petals over, and if you just drag the tool down the petals, you can see how that one's starting to curl now. So this is on the back so that the petals are curling down, and then flip it over and go round the centre, and you'll see that it gives it, so this is the one that we cut out flat, and that's the one that we've just it does give it a little bit more dimension rather than it being flat. Again, personal choice. You know, if you're happy with them flat, go for it. There's no sort of right or wrong with it. I just like to do that little bit of shaping. It doesn't take long, but it does give you that sort of bit more realistic effect. And then what we're going to do is use a little bit of wet glue, and I like to just pop some inside that one and stick these two together, just offsetting those petals slightly so that you've got the little ones landing inside the big ones, and then give it a press down again with that bull tool. Now I've just used 2 layers. There's nothing to stop you building this up with as many layers as you wish. I've just used the 2 for the purpose of this one. And then instead of, you can drop this straight inside there, but I did actually use a little tiny foam pad inside here just to bring that centre a little bit higher. So I've just popped one inside the centre there, take that piece away, and then we're just going to pop this one so that it's got a little bit of depth on top. And that's how I actually made my little flowers. And again, you know, you can manipulate the petals on there just to give it some shape. But I just think they are very, very realistic. They look lovely. And then as far as the leaves are concerned...
Imagine if you could get mini sunflowers. How cute would they be?
Oh, wouldn't they be lovely?
Could you imagine mini sunflowers?
Just a little mini version.
I bet you must be able to make it happen in this day and age.
Yes, just as we speak. And then the leaves, I actually got my ink out again. So this is actually green topaz. And again, I've just gone round the edge of them with straight from the ink pad, just to give them a little bit of definition around the edge there.
Johnny's got a wild sunflower growing in his garden. He doesn't know where it's come from.
Seeded it from somewhere else, yeah? So just to give some definition around the edges there. And then what I do is I like to sort of just bend the leaves in half just a little bit, again, to give it that bit of shape there rather than it being flat. So again, with this one, I've just literally bent it around my fingers there. And you can see now that we've got something that starts to look quite realistic there. So I did that. I made 3 of those to fit on the back. You can see there, if I bring this in again, I've got 3 sunflowers and a selection of leaves on the back of there, just to cover where I said there was a wee gap where the triangle comes to. Okay. So again, you can have a play around with those, whether you want to use the sunflowers, whether you've got other embellishments in your stash to do on the back of there. And then on the front of it, I've got an extra one. So there's 4 in total. These, I've got 1 large size. And then these 2, I actually did just the smaller one twice, so that we've got a little bit of variation in size. And then this one is 2 of the smaller ones layered up. All right. And then as for the sentiment, let's put that to one side. My
Johnny's garden,
sentiment
maybe,
was
Jan?
from here. And again, I like to do the die cutting first so that I can see where I'm going to pop the sentiment in. So I'm going to just, which one did I use? I think it was, is it that one? Yeah. So these are my stitched edge circles. If you're using these from Crafter's Companion, it's in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It was the 7th one from the outside edge, but any nesting circles will do this. This is just to give you that size. So again, just going to pop that on and pass that through my Gemini. And then I also used a little bit of the craft card that was left, and I used the corresponding scallop die, which is probably going to be, nope, do you know, every time I get the wrong one, be that one. Oh, that's still a bit bigger, I quite like that. So I'm going to cut that one out of the craft card. And then again, pop that one out of the cream. Again, if you don't have cream, you can use the white. You know, it was just the cream was a bit softer, in my opinion, with the colour tones that we'd chosen. But like I said, you know, it doesn't have to be an exact copy. Can't wait to see what Joe's done. He's been over there cutting his...
Oh, I'm photographing mine now, yeah.
He's all sorted. I'm going to pop those on there. Pass those through the Gemini. And then we can stamp onto that one. So again, I just took, because this was all in one line here, I wanted it to go underneath each other. So I've just literally snipped through the stamp. It's not done any harm to them. I can still use them in a line if I want them. But what it means is I can now actually use this one on this project. So I've literally just snipped it in half, which means that I can actually position this now with the sun-kissed wishes. So however you're going to do your stamping, I think I've still got somewhere, where did I put it? Still under there, my stamping platform. I've got that many bits of paper now. Pop this in here. And again, if you've got something die cut like this, and you're wanting it to stay in place, because I've not got a lot of room for the magnets to fit on, I'm just going to grab, I'm just looking in somewhere in here in the depths of beyond. Just the dotty tape pen works better, I find, because these will
Do you need a
rub
dotty
away.
one? You've got one?
It's all right, I've got one. Just a couple under the back there. Stick it on. Line your stamps up where you want them to go. Pick them up, and then I've got my quick dry seal brown ink for the sentiment, just to keep it all toned in nicely with what we're doing. And because we're on that stamping platform, I can give this a couple of layers just to build up that depth of colour on the sentiment. So one.
Jan, is that a dress or a blouse, says Beverly. I love the colour.
It's a dress. I've got my trousers on underneath it. It's not.
I was going to say it's a very short dress.
Rewind. It's a blouse. It's a top, yes.
It's a blouse.
And I've
Yes,
got my trousers
mine's a
on
blouse
underneath
as well,
it.
and not a dress before you ask.
Yes, it would have been nice as a dress, actually.
Mine
I
or
like
yours?
it. I don't normally wear a lot of bright colours, but it just took my eye in the store. And I thought, you know what, why not? Why not? I know it's nice for us to have those brighter colours on when we're on air because they show up nicely. And then here, if you don't need them on the back, the little dots just rub away nicely. But I'm going to stick this one onto here anyway. Okay, so again, however you prefer to stick that one down. And that gives me my sentiment So again, you know, I just picked one from the actual collection. It may be if you're wanting to make this to gift someone, it could be a thank you gift, it could be a just for you, it could be a birthday one, but you can see there, my outside circle's just a wee bit bigger on that one. I actually like it with more of the scallop showing. This one was barely big enough, you can only just see it behind there. So again, all I would do then, and I use my hot glue to put all these accessories on, I put this one on foam pads so that it was raised a little bit so that I could then stick my flowers behind like so. So again, you can just see there how it's coming together. And then the length of ribbon that I suggested was enough to make your bow. To just, if I bring this one in here, I just popped a little bow, a few little extra pills on the front there, which is very much sort of a signature of mine. And, you know, you're good to go. Now, the reason I suggested the tissue paper was if you wanted to do it, you can actually emboss your tissue paper. So I will just show you that before we finish. So let me just move these out of the way. This one's a 3D folder. So again, you know, fold your tissue to a size that will fit inside here and just trap it. I'm going to put the folded edge up to there. Just trap it in. And you know, again, it's not an absolute must, it's just a nice little extra bit, and it just all tones in. So again, with the 3D folders, I just need to adjust my sandwich here. So I need a clear one, a magnetic one, and plastic one. And all it does is it just impresses that lovely design into the tissue paper. And again, it's all linking it in with the theme. So, you know, it sort of takes it all the way through, right down to the tissue paper that you may be going to wrap a gift in, or just pop it in the top, you know, to sort of hide whatever you're popping in your little basket. But look at this. Absolutely
How cool
stunning
is that?
look.
And does that emboss go through all
And it goes
the different...
all the way through, yeah. So it will get less, obviously, as you go through the
I've seen it
tissue.
done with like damp kitchen towel as well, was very impressive.
But if I just be gentle with it, because obviously it's pressed it all together.
That's
But look,
so
all
cool.
the way through. And again, it's just that added little detail to something. You'd never find this in the stores. But look, all four sides, and then you can use that in your little basket then, just to cover up, or as I say, even wrap your gift in. So all these little tricks just to sort of add that finishing touch and make it a proper handcrafted item. If I lift you that up to the camera, you can see there that beautiful embossed detail, and it goes literally all the way through, debossed on the back there. But yeah, absolutely perfect.
How gorgeous. Really gorgeous.
Yeah.
Really, really cool.
So, how did everybody get on then?
Well, I think everyone's doing pretty well. I'll show you mine firstly. I'm very happy with it.
Look at that. What are you going to put in there now?
I don't know. I'll have to have a little
That
think,
is
won't I?
lovely, yeah. As I said, they'd be nice for little Easter baskets, wouldn't they, to put the eggs in at Easter?
Yeah,
I might
absolutely.
have to make one of these for Toby for him to go Easter egg hunting with.
Yeah, or maybe like a few little smellies and toiletries as a little gift
But
for
it
someone would be
wasn't
nice.
that difficult, was it?
No,
In
it was
fact,
really
getting
easy when you
that
felt-
template in place to start with. Once you've got that, and if people have taken a screenshot, in fact, let me just bring that back into play for anybody that joined us later on. If you actually want to screenshot this, this is where we sort of started with the base at the beginning, and then you can watch the show back at a later date. And if you make yourself one of these, if you do want to recreate this at any point, make yourself one of these. This is just a piece of our smooth cardstock, and I've just measured it up, ruled it up with a biro rather than a pencil, and I tend to do the score lines in one colour and the cut lines in a different colour. So it's ideal then to keep. I keep this with my instructions then, and I've got a folder that's got all the different instructions in, and that will stay with it then just as a reference point so that you don't have to make it again next time.
Perfect. Don't forget as well, let's drop in and see how our crafty friends are getting on. Let's go to Lisa first, see how Lisa's getting on. How's it going, Lisa? Is it all coming together?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I love it with the blue. That
How
looks
cool is
stunning,
that?
Doesn't it? Fantastic.
Yeah, I
Well
love
done.
I love that Lisa's used the really decorative paper as well. It makes it look completely
Yes,
different, doesn't
does
it?
make it look different, doesn't it? Yeah, that's gorgeous.
How did
Well
you find
done.
it, Lisa?
Yeah, it was really good. Really easy to follow along. The instructions were very good.
Do you think you'll be making this style of project again?
Definitely, yes.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm glad you've enjoyed it, Lisa. As always, it's a pleasure to have you join us on the show, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Amazing. A lot of people chatting along still. Oh, Kathy saying, well done, Joe. Olga says, beautiful job. Desert Dweller says, wow, Joe, that's great. Pandacraft says, great. Alicia, I think people are more impressed that I managed to stick it together. It's the most, I mean, I'm quite impressed myself, to be honest. I didn't think I'd managed to do it.
I think it's great when you guys craft along. And say from our point of view as well, it's a good sort of time sort of watch as well, because looking at the pace you're going at, and I'm not being disrespectful in any way here, Joe, but that gives me a clue as to how, whether I'm going too fast or not.
Yeah,
As not
absolutely.
leaving people behind.
We'll have to do it more often, Jan. I've really loved it. Let's see if Betsy's loved it quite as much as I have as well. Betsy, how's it going?
It's great. I think it turned out super adorable. I won't turn it around because I was a little wonky with my other side of my triangle. And look, I made a little boo-boo right here too.
It's all a learning.
Or I guess it's on here.
Get another little flower and stick it on the bottom.
It's adorable. I love it. As always, Jan, you're just an awesome teacher. You just make everything so easy.
She does indeed.
Well done.
Do you think you'll be giving it another go, this sort of style of project as well, Betsy? It'll be something you
Oh,
repeat?
100%. I can see Easter baskets during Easter, and I can see Christmas baskets too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
It would be wonderful.
With the Christmas colours on.
I have a lot of Christmas paper from Crafter's Companion already, so I already have ideas going.
What a great way to use it up.
Well
Betsy,
done.
thank you so much for joining us. It really was a pleasure, and I hope you'll enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you. Y'all as well.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So lovely when we get people crafting along with us at home. It really is. Now, if you've seen this and you're thinking, gosh, I really want to be able to make that, we've managed to repeat the launch offer for you on the sunflower. So let me take you back through what it is that you've got in here. So you're going to firstly get the 12 by 12 pad, which is always glorious. It really sets the tone for the whole collection. So that is your 12 by 12 pad right there. Then next you will get it in the 6 by 6. The 6 by 6 is exactly the same, just resized for you into that 6 by 6 size. You will get the flower forming foam. You'll also get the textured linen cardstock too. So that one is coming in there for you. Then you will get the vellums as well, the 8x8 vellums, they're coming included. You've got then your layering stamps. This is your sunflower bouquet that's coming included. You've got Sunkissed Wishes coming in there as well. That's beautiful. If you tune into the earlier Play Your Crafts right to see what Jan did with that particular stamp, it was really awesome. Then you've got your Sunflower Splendor there as well. Striking sunflower. This one just here is the Fabulous Frame. You will also get the Hello Sunshine, and remember then as well you've got that embossing folder that you saw Jan use there on that tissue, and that's the embossing folder, and it's coming alongside the two stencils for you as well. Loads and loads of love coming in for Lisa's project and for Betsy's project as well. Rhonda, Adriana, Olga, Lorna Jane, Mary, all really impressed with our guest crafters' efforts as we were. Don't forget, if you've crafted along with us, please send your pictures in to us and we'll show them in the later Craft House show, studio@crafterscompanion.co.uk. Talking about that later Craft House show, myself and Jan back here 6 p.m. in the UK, 1 o'clock East Coast, 10 a.m. West Coast. It's a Sarah signature craft house that we're going to be bringing to you, so make sure you come and join us both for that. Thank you, Jan, it's been awesome.
You're welcome. I love this. It's one of my favourites, this, to actually do. I think the teacher in me sort of loves the teaching side of it, but I really enjoy it. And I love it when we've got people crafting along with us as well. So yes, well done, guys.
Yeah, it was excellent. I hope we'll see you back here in a couple of hours' time. Massive thanks to Betsy. Massive thanks to Lisa as well. Make sure you come back and join us for that later Craft House. I'll see you there. Take care.